Daughtry right now here on the Power Hour. Chris, first of all, tell me why you decided to pick that as a song to cover.
There for a while on tour, me and the guys kept talking about wanting to do, like, we felt like we needed like a definitive cover for us to do, and something that was classic, something that kind of fit in that 80s, synth vein. And, we had kicked around a few ideas, and I think one of the initial thoughts was, ooh, we should cover Final Countdown, and and all I could think of is a karate montage. And so I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to get rid of the cheese on this. So we put it on the back burner, and a couple months later, me and my wife are watching the finale of Stranger Things, and there's this epic scene where they're all getting together and they're about to go do the thing, whatever that. I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it. And Separate Ways was kind of chopped up in it, and the way it was used was so cinematic and powerful. And I remember going, I think this is it. This is the song we need to cover. I went back and talked to my producer, talked to the guys. We got all excited about it. And I believe our producer, Scott, he was like, it was either Scott or my guitar player, it doesn't matter. But somebody said, what do you think about how would you feel about doing this as a duet? And I was like, oh, that's interesting, because it does kind of lend itself to both perspectives, and it could totally work. And I was like, it's got to be Lizzie. Like me and Lizzie and I have been talking about doing something forever. And I was like, this is the one. This is the one we should do. And I called her up and I was like, hey, how would you feel about doing Separate Ways with me? And she was like, it's my go-to karaoke song, so I'm all in. And so that's, the rest is history. It worked out. We both live in Nashville, so we were able to actually be in the studio together. It wasn't all remote, so it was an incredible experience. And I knew at the time when we were doing it, I was like, this feels special. I had no idea that it was gonna, garner the attention it got and do what it did. But we're certainly grateful that it's been received the way it was. I mean, anytime you, I guess, touch a vocalist like Steve Perry or anyone of that caliber, you're subjecting yourself to get raked over the coals. So knock on wood, that hasn't happened yet. So I'm very grateful for it.
But one thing that I really enjoy, especially over the past, I feel like 2 or 3 years, all of these musicians are coming out with these killer covers, or there's old music from the 90s and early 2000s that are resurfacing because of TikTok, like the Kate Bush song from Stranger Things.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
You had Cold go viral on TikTok. But we're introducing a lot of the younger generation to songs that they might not have heard before. And people love this cover. They're eating it up. And like younger people didn't even know the song beforehand, but they know it now because of yourself and Lizzie
You're
Hale.
welcome. You're welcome, kids.
And it's great that you released the song on the 40-year anniversary of when the original was released back in 1983. It just was amazing that it turned out you had the opportunity to do it on that day.
That was definitely not planned. I had no idea that was even coming until like a few weeks before the anniversary. We had talked about wanting to get it out in January or February, and we heard the anniversary was coming up, and we were like, oh shit, we gotta mix this and master it like today, to get all the things turned in time. So we were very, very fortunate to make that deadline.
Was there a it's so funny now in hindsight, right, that probably some of us are among the age that we're the same age as the Stranger Things kids at that moment. So what was it like? I mean, do you have a memory in '83 of maybe even first hearing Separate Ways on the radio, or watching that classic video of them on the street dancing?
I was 3. So I don't
tell me every memory from when you were 3, please.
But but I feel like Journey in general was kind of ubiquitous, as throughout my childhood. It was one of those, when you grow up knowing something, you just assume that it always existed, right?
Right.
And Journey was one of those bands that just, I don't remember a time that Journey didn't exist. And it was always kind of in the background. And I knew these songs, but I didn't know who it was. I didn't really pay attention to that at the time, but it was always one of those voices that stood out to me as like an ambassador of that time. You know what I mean? Like that like my brain associates the 80s with Steve Perry's voice, and Rick Astley, of course.
Yeah.
But
hey, you did a version with Lizzie, Chris. You did a version with Lizzie of The Chain, which you guys had performed live, right? The Fleetwood Mac song.
What's crazy? It's funny you bring that up because I was just doom scrolling on YouTube the other day, and I see this video of the video, like someone had filmed it on their TV from a live stream we did back during the pandemic. And Lizzie came out and we did a couple songs together. And I'd forgotten that we did The Chain, and I saw it. I was like, ooh, let me listen to this because I don't really feel like I was on my best. I was on my best game that day. So I'm dying to hear how this turned out. And I had full on chills. I'm like, oh my God, we totally killed this.
Not to toot my own horn or anything.
I mean, seriously, I was like, we crushed it. And I sent it to Lizzie. I'm like, how did I forget we did this? It's funny. I was like, I got to get the original footage of this because I would love to post it at some point. But I don't even know how that came about. We had talked about we did that and Man in the Box and a Hailstorm song. I Am the Fire, I believe it was.
And before we leave you, I wanted to bring up something pretty cool. I loved American Idol when I was younger. And when American Idol was still good, like people were auditioning thinking that they were really good singers, but they were god awful. And on season 5, correct me if I'm wrong.
That is correct.
We decided to watch the audition video. Before we got you on here, and it's crazy. You were only 25 years old. I remember this so clearly in my head because I went, oh my God, he's the only rock and roll guy on American Idol. Like, I don't like these other ones. Like, I finally have someone that I can kind of relate to when it came to music taste. And I thought it was so cool that you came in 4th. I was like, oh, I wish he was came in top 2, but I didn't want you to win because I knew that people
didn't either.
Yeah, because people would get locked into these American Idol contracts and they would just form them into something they never wanted to be. So I was glad that you were out of there and able to continue on the routes that you are on now.
Thank you so much. I look back at that guy with a lot of admiration and gratitude, but I wish I could go back and tell him, don't do your sideburns like that. Don't.
You're wearing the cowboy hat.
Don't wear that. Don't wear that cowboy hat. Don't do your
You had a lot of twang going on in your voice in there too.
I did.
I mean, listen, though, you did a great version of The Letter there, by the Box Tops and Joe Cocker. I mean, your voice you sounded amazing. And it was great, as Katie said, that rock was represented there.
I look scared shitless, but I am happy with the way that the audition turned out. Of course, I don't think we would be talking if it didn't. So, it's funny. I'm grateful for the time, but it feels like it was lifetimes ago.
Do you still talk to anybody who was on your season?
Yeah, I do. I still keep in touch with a lot of the people. We were a very tight-knit group. This was, I think, a pretty incredible experience for all of us. And we made a lot of friends, and I feel like a lot of them live in Nashville, and we never get to see each other. That's just how it goes. But Ace, we keep in touch quite a bit. We were always pretty close on the show, and we've kind of continued. And he helped write my first single. So there's some lifelong friends in there for sure, and Elliot, of course. But we all kind of message back and forth on the gram from time to time. But half of them, or more than half, I haven't seen since maybe since we all appeared together on another season or something. I don't know.
Hey, tell us about what's coming next, Chris, because your last album absolutely rocked. There's so many great songs on it. And why don't you talk to us about, are you in the process right now of writing some new material for a forthcoming album?
Yeah, we just started 3 days ago, Scott and Marty and I, and it's a full metalcore record.
Yeah, we're gonna hear Daughtry.
No, but I will say that it is leaning in on the heavy, and we're already off to an incredible start, and I can't wait to share something. But it's exciting, it's big, it's loud, and we're I feel like Separate Ways was kind of like this. You take the familiarity out of it, and the fact that it's a cover, it's sonically that's kind of where we're headed, and it's a good indicator of what the record's going to sound like, I think.
I'm sure I can speak for all of us and say we're all looking forard to that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Final question,
Thank you.
Chris. And this is from our Power Hour listeners. Will we? And I know you guys are very busy and passing ships in the night, but will we ever get an official Separate Ways video?
That's an interesting question, because we shot a bunch of footage in the studio, and we got a video all put together that we thought was kind of cool, and we did it really cheap, and but it had a good vibe to it, and we were going to use it for promotional stuff, and we've used little clips of it, of Lizzie and I singing in the studio, but there's some kickback from another camp right now from keeping this from being a full video release. So right now we're at the mercy of well, I don't want to say his name, but it's somebody in the other camp.
Yes.
Not on our end,
Yeah.
but we're just waiting to get approval. That's all. And
Wow.
it's been an uphill battle so far.
Well, we
we'll
look
see.
forward to that video when we do get it.
Yeah,
Hopefully
we'll
it's going to work out.
premiere it here, of course.
Yeah, without a question. Chris, thanks so much for joining us
Thank
today.
you guys for having me. Much love, and congrats on the new show.
Thanks so much.
And thank you for having me as one of your first.